Hi, welcome back. So last episodes we worked a lot on getting an enchanting system ready, so enchanted tools aren't a problem. Off camera I finally got a fortune tree, and off camera I also completed the towers. Last episode we also built this wall around the village that we're building, and I said I was gonna do the walls off camera, so I've done them. And I think they look decent. Like, this is as nice as I'm gonna get them with these limited block choices. I also decided to build up the probably last house. Well, not last house. There's still one building that's gonna be here, but the second to last building off camera. Trying to work with some height elevation. Decided to not recess the walls in this one, like I did there, because this building is supposed to give you like an overarching feel. Well, this is supposed to give you a really steep feel, so that it feels like these all buildings really go tall and really like hang over you. But I didn't want to try and also recess the walls here. I think it turned out fine. Again, interior isn't built yet. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one just yet. But yeah, I also moved to another portal because it kind of was in the way of this tower. This place is starting to take a good shape with these buildings now in place. It only needs one more to really be enclosed. Then I can focus on hidden lighting everywhere. And yeah, really have this place finished. Hmm. I also finished the back of this wall, at least this portion, so a wheat field can actually be placed here finally. That's gonna be a lot of fun and really give this, like the outside of the village, a lot more style as well. As you could see in the opening, I decided to clear out a whole area here from trees. Mainly because I keep running out of resources, and this actually gave me a lot of wood. But I'm planning to build basically a tree farm here. Or as I like to call it, the 1, 2, 3 farm. But yes, bad joking aside, I got spruce wood off camera. There's actually a taiga biome. Not too far from that desert I was collecting sand. So I I finally got all 3 saplings and all 3 wood types. This apparently it's still called wood, like this isn't called oak woods, and the birch and spruce logs are also just called wood, so this is probably a nice space to put in rows of trees I can keep farming in a kinda safe area. I'm gonna separate the 3 trees with an old school path like this, and I laid it out already. This is basically separating this whole area into 3 chunks, so there, over here, and here. So it's probably gonna be oak there, birch here, and then spruce over here, with a type of lumber mill building and house probably at this coast, with maybe a water wheel attached to the lumber mill like they used to in olden days. So yeah, I think I've got this pretty well figured out. The aerial view from before really shows the space quite nicely. So here's the village right now with the buildings, the wall that goes around. This will be covered in wheat fields, probably here and here. Then a path going across from here to the tree farm. And then this patch of oak, this patch of birch, this patch of spruce, with then the lumber section over there. I don't know if I'm gonna extend the wall from there to there, and if I'm gonna even build a wall around this tree farm. I'm gonna see afterwards, once the hidden lighting is in place and stuff, how mob proof this all is. If I still get harassed by mobs, I might have to build a wall and really light up the place entirely. But yeah, I wanted to show you this area before I started laying down paths and putting in the trees, so you can really get a feel of scale here. Of course, the irony of this tree farm is, while clearing out this area, I actually got a ton of woods. But yeah, let me get to starting the paths and maybe the trees, and I'll get back to you in a bit. And so, with the path laid out, I think it's time to put in the trees. I realized for the not so hidden lighting I want to use, I needed a bunch, I mean a metric ton of jack-o'-lanterns. So I've created a quote-unquote temporary but really ugly pumpkin farm for that, so by the time all these trees are put in place, that should be able to supply me with enough pumpkins. But yeah, I should really build a permanent pumpkin farm somewhere before I update. And as I go planting these trees, I'll probably just terraform the landscape to suit the trees a little bit better. But it's basically gonna be a 2-block gap between each tree for each row, and then 3 blocks between each row. That's basically the plan. I also realized this isn't much of a farm as it is a field, since there isn't really any redstone involved in this. So I might just have to call this the 3 fields. Change of plans. I decided to move over each row, instead of 3 blocks in between, to 4 blocks. I think that's gonna separate them out a bit more and make it more visually pleasant, as far as straight rows of trees can go, of course. Guess I forgot one, but don't want to set this whole forest on fire, so let's see. Oh. And the 3D printer is done. Awesome. There. Let's hope the whole forest doesn't catch on fire. And continue planting some trees. Alright, and with that, the oak side is done. I don't have a lot of spruce saplings, so this will grow eventually. The more I farm spruce. But for now, it's fine. But all that's left to do is put in jack-o'-lanterns in between, probably here and here every time. That's gonna take a whole bunch. But this area should be lit up like a lot after that. I shouldn't have any trouble with mob spawning. In the fields at least. But yeah, I don't have enough jack-o'-lanterns for that just yet. That's something that's gonna be added gradually the more I actually get pumpkins. Maybe by then I'll actually have a really decent pumpkin farm, who knows. Yet again, I want to emphasize that there isn't really a lot you can do with 3 quote-unquote farms, especially in this version due to the lack of a lot of redstone components. So I went for aesthetics mostly and just having something big again in the world that will really tie in with the rest eventually and give it a nice feel. Yeah, the only thing I could think of is placing trees on like one wide dirt pots that then with below water that could collect saplings, but instead of having that ugly mess, I went for aesthetics here. It should probably look really decent once it's all in place. And again, I don't really have a good way of hiding these lights. I could always go with carpet when they get introduced, but that's way down the line. So I don't know, I might just keep them like this. So with that 3 field basically finished, like I'll really finish it probably off camera because it's now just a waiting game on pumpkins and on spruce trees. And with the above ground section of this district like 80% done, I think it's time to focus our attention a bit to the underground aspect of this, because it's a bit lacking, to say the least. Like, this room isn't finished, this walkway is still not finished. Basically, the only room that's finished is the first room I showed like 3 episodes ago, or even more. and like this room is half finished. I did finish this little pathway between, just a simple randomish pattern on the ground, and I like the trees here. I guess I could connect it to the tree farm there, tree fields more. Yeah, this room is still not finished. I'll do it eventually. But yeah, I think it's time to finish at least the room below the storage room and implement those minecart and loading system that I wanted to implement here. So basically chest minecarts are gonna gather at this point and be stored in a way that I can easily unload them by hand by now. Maybe I'll add hoppers in the future once I hit 1.7, 1.5 I think. But yeah, right now it needs to be designed with by hand unloading purpose. So I'll see what I can do with the layout and I'll meet you back then. Alright, so I cleared out a bit more room to work with, and because this underground section doesn't have a set style, I want to go with a mine shaft style, similar to the abandoned mine shafts, but this one really working. So to start off with, I should figure out if I should figure out some behavior with these minecarts that I know works today, but I don't know if it works like in this version. If I power this, it doesn't go because this is a stair, okay? Good to know. Now if this is a full block, it does go. Now how do I want to access these? Also, my thought process of this build is basically, right now my back is facing the well, so this is like the outer edge, and I don't, wait, let me show you. So right now I'm in front of the storage room, and thinking about which ways minecarts are gonna flood into this, I don't think in my head I don't imagine myself building a lot here anymore. There's probably gonna be a chest minecart that's gonna run underground from the tree fields, or maybe above ground, from the tree fields to the storage system, and possibly like from this wheat field, from the underground wheat field that's under there. So I don't have to worry about minecarts coming in from this direction, possibly coming from there, like all the other directions, like this way. So that means I don't have to design the minecarts to accept them from this at this side, but mostly from the left side, if that makes a bit of sense. So keeping that in mind, I think I can design it so they all come in from the left side, and once they're all emptied, I can store them inside a wall or something on the right side. How I'm gonna do that, I'm not yet sure though. Alright, after way too much time, I've finally got it figured out. So let me demonstrate. Every time a minecart comes and enters a station, this rail switches, allowing the next minecart to go to the next station, and the next minecart to go to the next. This is, right now I have 3 stations for these guys, so right now a fourth minecart would just go right through. I'm probably gonna add an AND gate that detects when all these stations are full and stops the minecarts here, waiting for a station to empty. So that's probably the next part of this. Let me show you the redstone. I worked with a monostable circuits dependent on repeater delay. This one is set at 1 tick, that one at 2, allowing 1 tick of power to go through this block into this repeater and basically into this other type of monostable circuits. I couldn't just use this because for some reason going from a button press through this to like a repeater isn't reliable at all in this version. Like I was able to use it no problem in the cave spider spawner, but for some reason this just doesn't work. So then that piston pushes up these 3 blocks, allowing power to go through these repeaters into the rail. This delay of 8 ticks is just enough for the minecart to go around the turn, otherwise it gets sent back into the receiving line. So without these 8 ticks, the minecart would be sent back. I'll probably have it so that these empty minecarts get sent into like a storage system or like a storage tower inside the wall or something. Right now it just ends here. So yeah, let me add that end gate to detect when they're all full, and let me add the storage stuff, and I'll meet you back. Alright, so it's the next morning, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't spend until 2 a.m. yesterday working on this, and I can already feel I'm gonna have trouble explaining all this. So let's start off with the easy part. I added a little storage section for the empty ones to go to after they're unloaded. So once you press the button, they just go through here and they get deposited here. With this trapdoor, I can, once I send a minecart from a farm to here, I can also send out a signal that quickly triggers this trapdoor, allowing one minecart to go through and allowing an empty chest minecart to go to the station I just sent the minecart to. That way I don't have to fuzz around with empty minecarts in my inventory, and I always have one at each station normally. So this is kind of a buffer for that. Now this, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know anymore. This system works in creative. I ripped this out like 3 times before I started designing this in creative because I just couldn't figure it out. And there's just a simple inconsistency which makes this not work. So I added, it's mostly about this third battery cell basically that makes it so much more complicated and really inconsistent. So I just added a lever here to just skip this one. But I'll go through it. Probably in creative, because there it actually works. Alright, so here in the creative worlds, I actually got this working very well. So there's basically 2 different circuits here, right? So every time a minecart gets pushed through the system, I want first this one to get loaded, then this one to get empowered, and then that in that order. So they can actually make it to the last cell, the second last, and the first, right? So this works fine in creative. And then that one goes, it's basically, if this one's powered, then this one goes to a monostable circuit over here. Well, a T flip-flop basically, over here. That powers this rail, or unpowers this rail. And only once this rail is unpowered and a minecart goes over here, there's an AND gate that then powers this. Like this is the AND gate here. Back to another monostable circuit and another T flip-flop, allowing this rail to be unpowered. So that's like the first circuit on this. And with the addition of that AND gate, it allows for the first minecart to just pass over this detector rail and not depower this. So then it's all loaded. So once a minecart gets emptied and dispensed out of one of the stations, it will trigger a detector rail that's basically simulated by this. And that powers that rail, which then triggers all the other stations. But it's a bit more complicated than that. Alright, so this detector rail powers this flip-flop over here, allowing this rail to be powered again, allowing the next minecart to move over here, move over this rail. This then, again, sends another signal to that flip-flop, depowering this rail again. It also has a delay into this AND gate. This one detects once this minecart is unpowered, like this track is unpowered, and there's a minecart going over here. With this time delay, it will detect that and sends a 1-tick pulse through this redstone torch over through here, up into this circuit. I had to put a monostable circuit in here just to um, prevent any signals from backfiring into here. Um, that that allows this track to be powered again, allowing this mic. Oh, it's already broken. Right. So this unloading kind of works. There's just a glitch in the system that makes it so it works every other minecart that gets unloaded from a station. So I can't actually activate this every time. I think it has something weird, okay? But this doesn't work in survival. For some reason, like there's this one redstone pulse, like one tick pulse that activates this torch. In survival, it doesn't activate this. Let me show you. So I can simulate a minecart, the first minecart going through here with this button. And as you can see, even though this unpowers just for one tick, this redstone torch doesn't update in time, which makes it so there's a signal, like one signal too less coming through, which makes it so this rail is then unpowered. It don't work. And I've spent way too much time on this. So I'm just gonna skip over this third battery cell and gonna be happy with 2, I think. I don't think I'm gonna have more than 6 minecarts ever, or more than 5 minecarts ever sent into this system, because there's not gonna be a whole bunch of farms, so 2 should be fine. And maybe, who knows, in a future update when minecarts, redstone, and just normal redstone gets a bit more fixed and refined, this might actually work by then. But yeah, it has a lot of glitches. It's probably because I had to work with like that one tick delay that doesn't work, and then that's just, I might have to add way more logic gates to actually fix it, but just having 2 cells is enough for me. So yeah, just bypass this cell with this lever for now. And so with 2 cells, this actually works perfectly. Like 2 cells is the easy part. It's like the follow-ups that's really hard. That should be empowered, yes. All the extra redstone does give it like a nice sound, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? And also the detection for when a minecart is leaving or once. There's 2 detections in this system, so this detect rail detects once a minecart is leaving the station, and that allows a pulse to go through that wire into here, into that, which activates the system. And there's an AND gate below here, so this splits up into 2 T-flops basically. And once these are all filled, the signal can go through here into this wire, which switches this rail and opens up the battery basically. I would try to explain this redstone a bit more clearly, but to be honest, after I implemented like the first logical circuit and was working on the second, I kind of lost track of it myself. Like, I don't know why I tried this, why it worked in creative, but it doesn't work here and stuff like that. You could say it kind of went off the rails. But yes, I'm sorry if this wasn't really clear, because it's not even clear for me for some reason. And it's not consistent at all, so it doesn't really work. Alright, but that's probably gonna do it for today. Like, I spent way too much time on this. Maybe I'll get it working once a new Redstone update comes out. I hope at least, because this could actually be a pretty useful thing, especially if more and more farms get built here. But yeah, thank you for watching, and bye.